Okay, Luz will start.
You're on.
There we go. Okay, so that we're going to call this meeting of the Education Committee to order. And we have one item on the agenda that we will discuss. But before we go to that item, are there any words from our co-chairs or our ranking members? Senator McCrory, you have anything to say, or should we move right on?
I have very little to say. I'm just excited to always be around you guys, get back and doing the citizens' work on the greatest committee. And I'm looking forward to passing this piece of legislation, which is pretty much a no-brainer, so we can continue the efforts that we're making in Connecticut.
Great. Representative McCarty?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say welcome, and it's very nice to see everyone again this morning and anxious to discuss this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And Senator Berthel?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you. Let's get started. It seems like a good bill to discuss, and as always, a pleasure to see my Education Committee members. I hope everyone is well.
Thank you. So the item on the agenda is HB 6399, the Center for, I guess I got the right. Yeah, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Youth Risk Behavior Survey.
Exactly.
Do I got that right, Luz? Or do?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I got two different titles here. This bill was referred to us by the Children's Committee, and it's my understanding that it passed out of their committee. And this is a survey. It's my understanding that this survey is already being done here in the state of Connecticut, and but this one does a little more and gets a little more information. And I'm gonna pass this on to Representative Wielander, who is the vice chair of the Children's Committee, and she can explain it also a little more in detail, and then we can move on from there. Representative Wielander?
Mr. Chairperson, before we begin the discussion, can we have a motion for this bill, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, forgot about it. Motion for Bill HB 6399, and that's JF to the floor, right? JF
Yes, correct.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Mr. Chair, can I ask who made the motion and who seconded?
Bobby, Representative Sanchez made the motion, and Senator McCrory second.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna pass this on. I'm gonna pass this on to Representative Wielander so she can explain a little bit in detail, because she is the vice chair of the Children's Committee. And then if we have any questions, or if not, then we'll move on. Representative Wielander?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And please forgive me, everyone, for the setting. I am sitting in the parking lot of my son's orthodontist appointment. So I'm sort of making things work in a makeshift office. This bill actually came from Children's 2 years ago or a year ago, before it was derailed by the pandemic. And when it came out of committee in 2020, it passed unanimously. This year, it has passed out 12-1. It was very much supported in our committee, and we are hoping to find that same support here in education. Things of note, there's no fiscal cost. This is something that is adding an additional question to, or sets of questions, depending on what the Department of Health, or Department of Public Health, excuse me, decides is best, to an existing survey that would allow us to assess the potential dangers of sexual assault and sexual misconduct that may be facing our schools. So this is something that, again, there was a lot strong support. This would be adding a question or so that would be determined by the Department of Public Health, along with the Office of Child Advocate, DEMAS, and any other state agency that the Department of Public Health determines as being helpful for part of this process. So there's a lot of oversight, and it would allow to our schools and our communities and for ourselves to assess how often students and student athletes are sexually harassed, propositioned, or abused by adults. And again, like we've said many times in this committee, the first step of trying to fix a problem and assess it is with data and information. So this would be providing that data so we can make sure we're taking the best next steps forward. And I'm happy to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative.
I have
Do
a
we have
question.
any questions? Oh, okay.
I have a question. Nope, good.
Senator?
No,
Senator McCarty?
no, I see other people have their hands up. I'll go last. I think Representative McCarty has her hand up, so I'll go after N.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And first, thank you, Representative Wheelander, for that very concise and excellent overview of the bill. I'm very supportive, as I know it's the primary instrument that we use to gather information concerning health for our students. The only question, and I certainly appreciate that there's some flexibility there. I think it's to question on sexual assault within our student. I think that's a positive question to be asking that may not have been included in the surveys in the past. Just a couple of points that I'd like to have proof of is that this survey is anonymous and that it protects the student privacy. That's number one. Number two would be if you could just tell me, so I'm clear about it, in line 16, it claims that it uses the passive parental consent. Just an explanation of what we mean by passive parental consent. And I think too, when survey questions are developed, it goes to the children's advocate that will finalize the development of the questions. I would hope, I read the testimony. It looks favorable to the Department of Public Health and the Children's Medical Center, but I think the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence made some good recommendations. And I would hope that as this survey is developed, the new questions are developed, that they would take into consideration their recommendations also. Looking at peer answers and questions on sexual violence. So if you could just maybe clarify those few points for me, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Representative
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for bringing up these important points so I can clarify them. This is a CDC-based assessment, and it is something that they decide which schools go to. It already happens. It happens on a regular pattern, but it is 100% confidential. It's anonymous, and passive consent is that parents can opt out. So that way, the parents can decide if they would like their children to participate in this survey. It is not required, so that but it is 100% anonymous and confidential.
Thank you, Representative Wheelander.
And I would,
Yes.
sorry to follow up, I apologize. I would believe that all of the questions would take in the feedback that was gained during the hearing and the meetings afterwards, along with the other recommendations through the Child Advocate and the DEMIS and DPH.
Okay. And then the final, and I think you mentioned this, there's no cost to the survey. And it's not a mandate. The schools, if they decided they could not issue the survey, we would hope that more and more schools would, so you have good data there and that you can make determination of what resources are needed and where we have to focus. But I just want to clear that it's not a mandate and that there's no cost. Is that correct?
There is no cost. No, this is something that the CDC, Connecticut has been participating for over 15 years in this survey. And every 2 years it is conducted. It is not a mandate, and there is no cost on a local or state level for this, because we are just adding an additional assessment to an existing survey in process.
All right, thank you very much, Representative Wheelander. And I'd also like to recognize, if I may, Mr. Chairman, Representative Linehan, who did send out, I believe, to everyone, an overview of the bill. So I just wanted to recognize her and thank the Children's Committee. I am supportive of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative McCarty.
Thank you.
Senator Champagne.
Thank you. I also want to question this passive parental consent. How do the parents know this survey is coming? Do we have any idea on that?
It is my understanding that the parents are notified through the school, that the schools are chosen by the CDC, and then the school notifies the school community that this survey would be happening and that parents would be given the option to have their student and their child not participate.
So I know I don't see it in the statute, but my concern is that you know, whatever notice goes out, that the parents don't specifically are told of that option to that they can say no. And part two on my question on this is, can the student refuse?
Well, I do know the district will notify the parents, and through, you know, I mean, I have a going to be high school student, and I know that we get multiple types of communication, whether it's electronic or through paper, from the school district about what may or may not be happening, what's coming up. So the parents are aware of things like that. That would be the continued process. I would, regarding student opt-out, I'm not actually sure. I guess I can follow up on that. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a message from my chair right now that students can refuse. So
Okay.
there is that personal option as well.
Okay, I didn't see that in the bill either, but it is 100% anonymous, and you know that I guess makes up for some of it. It's mainly just information gathering, which I do support. I just am concerned about the parent option and the student being able to refuse as well. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that and making sure that we know the students and parents can opt out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not sure that my questions are necessarily for Representative Wheelander, but I do appreciate your willingness to answer questions about the bill and the changes that we're looking to make to the survey. I have some questions that I'm thinking, Mr. Chair, maybe we can direct offline to the department with respect to what the downshot is of survey results. I understand that this bill, as it's before us, does not increase a cost to our school districts, and it's not a mandate. What I don't understand, and I don't necessarily need to have that clarification today, unless someone can speak eloquently to it, is what is the responsibility of the school district and its Board of Education to respond to the findings of the survey? And is there any action that would be taken, adverse action that might be taken against a school district that maybe doesn't acknowledge the findings or chooses not to act, or does something that isn't enough of a response? There's just some questions in my mind with regard to that. And I understand, again, that this is something that's already in place. And then I guess if the answer to that is the districts don't have to do anything, should we, as an education committee and as a legislature, should we be requiring them to do something? If a survey produces some sort of outcome, some vivid outcome that is not positive about what's going on in that particular school district, about this subject matter, should we require the district in some fashion and its Board of Ed to take action? So again, I don't know if these questions can be answered right here. They're not necessarily germane to the bill itself with regard to changing the survey and adding additional questions, which I fully support, by the way. I think this is an important thing that we should have an understanding, and our schools should have an understanding of this. I'm just concerned about what the effect is after we get those results. And if we're not requiring anything, and we're not I guess, I don't want to say forcing, but we're not relying upon the districts to take action based on these findings, then I guess it would be, it would raise a question as to why we're studying it, if we're not requiring some sort of either corrective action or something to be done to address this. So I don't know if anyone has any comments back on that. I think that makes sense, but that's my concern. I fully support the bill and the reason for wanting to gather this information, and I appreciate my colleagues' comments regarding the security and privacy of the student and the parents that are involved. But I really would like to understand at some point what we're doing with the results and whether or not we're creating action items for our school systems. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I don't know if Representative Wieland would like to make a comment?
Sure. So the existing survey is really helpful, and what the schools use it for, because it's anonymous, we're not able to directly act on any information that is gained. What it does, though, is it provides a broader snapshot of what challenges each district may be facing, so that boards of education can institute certain programs. So if during the survey, like the existing survey does, tries to assess potential tobacco usage in our students. So that way, if the survey comes back and this district learns that they have a much higher tobacco usage percentage in their student population than they realize, they can then start to institute programs that would address that specific information. This is the same type of thing, so that if a district finds out that there is a higher than anticipated, or in this case, I would think any, if we are looking at potential abuse of our students, if they can realize that that is happening and then take proper steps, whether it's through outreach programs or different types of curriculum or instruction things that the districts can then decide on their own whether or not they would like to implement. And it gives them this understanding of what actually is going on in their schools. I think there was some testimony from the Department of Public Health on why, I believe that in the original hearing, on some of the ways that this type of assessment could be really incredibly valuable for the success of our districts. I don't have that in front of me since I am not at home, but there are some specifics there that could be helpful in addressing Senator's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Veach.
Good morning, everybody. To you, Mr. Chair. My ranking members have pretty much covered the questions that I was going to ask, but I just want to reiterate that I will be supporting this bill. I think it's wonderful that we have an opportunity to reach out to the children and not having it as a mandate and giving the option to opt out. There's a lot of things that are happening out there that are really not okay, and we need to protect our children. So this is important, and I will be supporting this. And thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Johnson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for all the good work that everybody has done to bring this bill out. I think it's really important to be able to get the data on what's going on with our students, so we can perhaps take a look at that and see what kind of policies we need to, make in terms of trying to make sure our students and our children grow up in a safe environment that doesn't create post-traumatic stress disorder, which is really my question. A lot of the students perhaps aren't doing well because they're homeless, and we have a lot of homeless children, and we know from previous studies that PTSD is what happens when a child becomes homeless, and this is a problem that I see. Two questions. One is in general about PTSD, and if a child has had a very horrible experience, do we have a way of being able to address that experience with maybe social workers when the test is being administered or when the survey is being administered? So that's my first question. And then my second question has to do with Are we in a situation at this point in time where we are following up on trying to determine if there is a behavioral health issue with the student in the school that perhaps could be PTSD? Are we now in a situation where we can follow up on that and see whether or not we're really accounting for a lot of our students who are suffering with this because of either homelessness or domestic violence or some other horror that they've suffered as a child? Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wieland, would you like to add to that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As always, we've discussed a number, at least one other specific piece of legislation in children's regarding risk assessments. And one of the things that we have made a priority, and I'm sure if this makes it out of committee in education, that we have a priority on student safety and not making sure that we would be re-inflicting any type of trauma. So I am confident in the work that DPH, DEMIS, and OCA would do to make sure that any question that was added to this survey would be done in a way that is sensitive and aware to that type of potential trauma. As to the specificness of the homelessness and the concerns that are the very real concerns that come from that situation, that would be done by other surveys, such as the ACEs survey, and through other district run assessments that I can't speak to specifically at this moment, but I'd be happy to look for more information. So I would hope, that we are able through, the work of this good committee to increase our social workers and our school counselors and the funding for that to improve the ratio for our students, so that if we do uncover through this survey or the process or any other type of school assessment, that we can address those really important issues with the proper staff on hand, so our students have the best chance to succeed.
Thank you so much for that answer. And, I just feel that this is such important information to help us with policy and put us more in touch with the community. So thank you for the work, and I'm a very strong supporter of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think, with everything that's going on today and the fact that we had this pandemic, we just don't know what's going on with our kids. And now that they're coming back into a full day school environment, we do anticipate that we are going to see some issues, and I would hope that with the federal funding that's coming down, that the school districts that do see a need to add more social workers and counselors, that they do so. So I'm hoping that does happen. Representative Devlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this was an interesting bill, and the survey is something I was not familiar with before. So I did have an opportunity to kind of look that up, and I just have a few questions. Right now, the survey is 99 questions, and it includes multiple questions about sexual activity, also about any type of abuse. So my question is, A, does this replace certain questions, or B, is it additive? And if it's additive, how many questions would be added to what is now a 99 question survey? And how many schools are included when the survey is administered? So just a little bit about the process, and also how these questions, what we're actually talking about here. I didn't realize it was a 99 question survey. I didn't realize the breadth of topics that are already included. So I'd just like to understand that a little bit more.
And Representative Wieland, did they have that discussion in the Children's Committee?
We did not discuss specifically the length of the current assessment, but they are, it would be an additive question or questions. I don't assume that they nothing came up in concern of adding multiple or like a high number of additional questions to an existing survey. But the CDC does do this survey every 2 years, and 50 schools are chosen at random each of those at each of those 2-year cycles. So it is not every school every year.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just so that I understand as well, when a school is chosen, is it the entire, all of those grades, or is it certain grades or certain classes within those grades? It wasn't clear from reading the bill to me.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe that it is inclusive of the high school grades.
Okay.
Of the schools that are randomly chosen, and that schools that choose to participate. So.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Rep. Welander. I'm trying to understand, are the kids going to be filling this out on their own, or is this something that is required with their parents? Or the parents going to fill out one on their own along with the kids? And I only ask because I know there's a lot of kids that are going to be answering these questions that don't want their parents probably to know. So, you know, I just wonder when it comes out, is it going to be something that is equally sent to the parent, or is the kid responsible for doing it themselves?
It is, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you for that question. Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. It is done, if a school chooses to participate, the grades 9 through 12 students who chose to also participate, that would be done at school. The parents are not involved in that process other than deciding whether or not they would like their child to participate. And because the information is anonymous, it is not traceable to any individual student, which would allow hopefully for a much more, and what has been proven in the past through this long running survey is an accurate assessment of the risky concerning behaviors within each district. Okay. So that the parents would never find out whether or not their child answered every question or how they answered every question. This is something that is done by the student in anonymity.
Okay, and I understand that the anonymous aspect of it, and I'm for this, but just to answer parents when they ask in regards to what questions are my kids being asked, and then them wanting to know the questions. So are you saying there's no opportunity for the parent to know what questions are on this survey?
No, I believe, I haven't looked at it recently, but according to Representative Devlin speaking just now, it is a readily available survey on the CDC website.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I do think this is important, an important matter. I didn't get to see all the questions that the kids would be asked, but I think that with some of the important topics that were discussed between some of us and then amongst the conversation, I think it's important. I just want to be sure that parents don't have to be worried about some risky questions that they might not be prepared to hear the answers to, but questions that will be on the survey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, just a quick question. So these come from the CDC, it's random. Do we know how many schools have rejected in previous years not wanting to do the survey? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Welander, do you have that answer?
I believe that about 70% of Connecticut schools that are given the opportunity to participate choose to. So out of the 100% of, out of the number of schools that are offered the option, 30% decline.
Thank you, Representative Wheeler. Mr. Chairman, just one other question, and I mean, I don't want to bog down on the weeds, but it is 99 questions, so it probably takes a little bit of time. I'm just curious, do they do the survey while they're in like a health class, or is it like a home setting? I mean, just picturing all these kids, especially freshmen, in one room, and it's like, well, what'd you put for number 3, or what did you? I know that's, but I'm just curious, when is it administered? When do they do this survey? Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
That's a good question. Do you have that answer, Representative Welander? Because I know I don't.
I don't have, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any specifics, but I would assume that based on the number of standardized tests and assessments that every school does every year, that the setting would be chosen appropriately. It may be during a health class, it may be during a gym class. I can't speak to that specifically, but based on the fact that this still, I haven't heard any concerns or any issues about this, and that it's been happening already in Connecticut for 16 years, I believe, that there aren't any concerns about how or when it has been administered.
Thank you.
Other than being during class time and as determined by the districts.
Thank you, Representative Welander, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll go on the CDC website and just take a peek at the survey itself, because I have not done that before, but I appreciate that. And thank you to Representative Devlin for bringing that to our attention, that we can see those questions. Thank you, Rep, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Comey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, for the record, I'm a passenger in the car, so been able to be able to concentrate. Thank you so much, through you, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering if I could just ask Representative Welander a question, and perhaps she does not know this, but we are asking questions that are sensitive in nature, and we certainly, as was mentioned by Representative Johnson, we should be sort of cautious of re-traumatizing any opening any wounds or re-traumatizing children unintentionally, of course, with the survey. Are there, do you know, and I know you were a former Board of Ed chair or Board of Ed member, are there resources that are giving out to students should they want to reach out to someone based on, their experience taking the survey, and see social workers or support staff in the school? Do you know if that's been done in other when that's happened, when this has been administered through you?
Thank you, Representative Comey. My Board of Education experience is based on a kindergarten through 6th grade. That was my direct experience. So I can't speak to that since those grades are not part of this assessment. I went with the data that is gathered by this survey, with whether it is through, like I mentioned, drug abuse or tobacco use, or just risky behavior in teens, then the programs are designed by the districts to address that afterwards once they learn, so they can build upon what is already existing in.
But as far as asking this question, adding these questions, and being able to offer resources to students, I would think would be a very important part of
in the city that children can be referred to. We have CMHA, we have Wheeler Clinic, and so forth. So I would imagine other school districts may have those resources, and if they don't, now's a good time to get some that you're getting on.
Comey, but I think that this data helps the districts if they see a pattern evolving from the questionnaires and the surveys, and they do direct resources to those issues, and it helps them truly develop good, sound policy. And so I think that's partially one of the, as we continue to move forward, new issues develop within the districts. You know, this is part of the reason why we really took a close look at bullying in the schools and really trying to develop good.
Given this survey, is that correct?
Representative Wieland.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, other Mr. Chair. That still learning all of this lingo. Yes, it is through the CDC makes the determination, and I believe it does take into consideration the different demographics of each school to make sure that they are getting the best kind of a clear understanding of what's going on in all of our schools, and not just getting an idea of what's happening in one type of school.
And thank you very much. And my last question, and we're looking to add just one more question to the 99 questions that we currently have. Is that correct?
I don't know if it's specifically one question, or if it would be one or two. It would not be a massive addition because there are a number of questions. It is a broad reaching survey as it is, but what would be, let me just look real quickly. Just want to make sure I'm answering your question. But I do believe that it would be one or less than three.
Okay, so they're looking to add additional one, maybe 2 or 3. And these surveys are given to all high school students across the country. I'm assuming from the CDC, since it's coming from the CDC. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for your responses. Any other questions from the committee? Any other questions from the committee?
There's no other questions.
Seeing none, can we play? First of all, see if we want to. Can we place this item on a consent calendar?
Well, we only have just this one bill.
Oh, I'm
to
sorry. You're
discuss.
right. Well,
So we can.
Well, we can do a consent calendar so that we don't have to go through the entire list of people call our names being called. But you know, it's up to you, Bobby, how you want to do it.
We can do a voice. I think we can do a voice vote and then leave.
No, you've got to do a roll call vote for this one.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
So, Luz, can you call the roll, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, may I?
Representative
Yes.
Leland, right? I saw you raise your hand.
I just wanted to quickly clarify that the number of questions is not specified in the bill that would be added, but it would not be an inordinate amount.
Okay.
It is because it is already a comprehensive assessment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Luz, I guess
Luz,
you
can you
can
call
call
the
the
roll?
roll. You had to unmute yourself.
My apologies.
There we go.
So substitute House Bill number 6399, an act concerning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Youth Risk Behavior Surveys. JF to the floor. Representative Sanchez.
Representative Sanchez, yes.
Thank you. Senator McCrory.
Senator McCrory says yes.
Thank you. Representative McCarty.
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Bertho.
Good morning, Madam Clerk. Senator Berthel votes yes.
Good morning. Thank you. Representative Berry.
Representative Berry votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Doherty Abrams.
Senator Doherty Abrams votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Belinsky. Representative Callahan.
Representative Callahan votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Candelaria. Representative Carney.
Representative Carney votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Champagne.
Senator Champagne votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Cook. Representative Comey.
Representative Comey votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Curry.
Representative Curry votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Devlin.
Representative Devlin votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Exum.
Morning. Representative Exum votes yes.
Thank you. Good morning. Representative Felipe.
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Fiorello.
Good morning. Representative Fiorello votes yes.
Good morning. Thank you. Senator Flexer.
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Jenga.
Representative Jenga votes yes. Good morning, Luz.
Good morning. Thank you. Representative Gibson.
Good morning. Representative Gibson votes yes.
Good morning. Thank you. Representative Kane.
Hi, Luz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Representative Cook, how would you vote?
Representative Cook votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, hon.
Thank you. Representative Haynes. Representative Harding. Representative Johnson.
Morning, Luz. Representative Johnson votes yes.
Good morning. Thank you. Representative Kennedy.
Kennedy votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Kushner.
Good morning. Senator Kushner votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Leeper.
1 second, Chip. Representative Leeper votes yes.
Thank you. Representative McGee. Representative Napoli.
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Nolan.
Representative Nolan votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Parker.
Representative Parker votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Pettit.
Representative Pettit votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Manny Sanchez.
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Smith.
Representative Smith votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Veach.
Representative Veach votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Willender.
Representative Wieland votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Winfield.
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Thank you. Senator Miller.
Senator Miller votes yes.
Thank you. And I did see Representative Candelaria.
Candelaria votes yes.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Luz.
All set?
Mr. Chair? Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to hold the votes open because I know there are a couple of people on other committees. So we'll hold it open until 12:30. Is that good enough? Or let's say 1 o'clock. Let's do 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock works for me.
I think that works on our side as
That's
well,
great.
Bobby. Thanks.
Okay, that would be
All
great. And thank you, Representative Wieland, for your assistance. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
So this meeting will be in recess. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
nice day, everyone.
You
Bye.
too.
All right, Luz, I'm going to go ahead and get the minutes typed up, and I'm going to give you a call at 1 anyway to check in on the votes that haven't been cast yet, as well as things. So,
Thank you.
bye.
Hi, Luz.
Hello, Representative Hayes. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good, good. So let me just repeat the vote. So it's a hold on just a minute. It is substitute favorable substitute for House Bill number 6399, an act concerning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Youth Risk Behavior Survey. How would you vote?
Yep, Representative Haynes votes yes.
Thank you. So you're
Thank
all
you, my
set.
dear. Enjoy the
Thank
day.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I'm gonna let you go because somebody named Steven iPhone just came on. I don't know who that is. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hi, Luz.
Hello, good morning. How are
Hi.
you?
Good, thank you. So I'm just
Okay.
looking to vote.
Yes, so it is a substitute for House Bill number 6399, an act concerning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Youth Behavior Survey.
Representative Harding votes yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good morning. You're muted. Representative, you're muted. I still can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Hello, Representative? Do you want to log out and then log back in? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yay. Okay,
Woo!
let me turn on my recorder.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay,
We just
okay, so it is substitute House Bill number 6399, an act concerning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Youth Risk Behavior Survey.
I am a yay, an affirmative vote.
Okay. All right,
And
sir.
if you
Thank
need me
you.
to say that,
Yes.
Malinsky is an affirmative vote.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Sorry, it's spring break. I'm at the museum.
Yeah, no, I figured.
So McGee votes yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you.
So tell me again what the bill is again. I'm sorry.
No, not a problem. It is substitute House Bill number 6399, an act concerning the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Youth Risk Behavior Survey. This is a referral that came from kids.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye.